Greetings and salutations, horror movie fans. My name is Gilbert Ybarra, and welcome back to the Attic Review. On today's episode of Tar, we are going back to 1995, where our beloved Tales from the Crypt gave us a fantastic film that fell on deaf ears because it was released in 1995, 1 year before Scream came to save the day and horror in general. So unfortunately, this movie fell into obscurity. Sadly, if you're one of the few that haven't seen this movie, you are missing out on a master class performance from the Billy Zane, and also a great movie in general that was deeper than I expected for a Tales from the Crypt Presents sort of thing, you know what I'm saying? Shh! Okay, no more small talk about this film. Let's see why the Crypt Keeper holds this in such high regards. Let's look at Tales from the Crypt Presents Demon Knight. Let's look at that cool poster. Already, I am in the grips of the Crypt Keeper and Billy Zane, but I'm getting ahead of myself, alright? In traditional Attic Review fashion, I'm going to break down the film into the 3 acts as I saw them play out, what I disliked and what I very much liked about each act, how I felt about the movie overall, and without further ado, let's talk about Act 1 of Demon Knight.
Alright, fuck it.
We open up to the tour that fucked up my imagination and made me scared of everything. We get the tour of the Crypt Keeper's mansion, and then that handsome bugger pops up out of nowhere to give us that maniacal laugh, and we are hit with the nostalgic Tales from the Crypt logo.
Tales from the Crypt.
We're kind of unofficially invited to the sets of a B-movie being filmed, and we get to see some blood and boobies splattered around, and no lie, the film looks kind of interesting, and it is directed by old Crypt Keeper himself.
Cut!
But this is just fluffer stuff, okay? The Crypt Keeper tells us that tonight's tale is aptly named Demon Knight. Yes, I just like saying that because that's a badass name. Now let's look at the opening for this. Now we officially begin the movie with nu metal band Filter pumping us with some adrenaline-filled music as we see William Sadler, aka Breaker, driving fast. I mean, he's driving super fucking fast as if he just got a phone call from his girlfriend saying, "Hey baby, we're gonna do that thing that I said I'll never do tonight." He's moving with that kind of urgency. Who the fuck is chasing Breaker though, okay? We find out it is the unfairly handsome Billy Zane, and let's just call him something easy and unsuspecting. Let's call him, I don't know, the Collector. And after what could be perceived as a potentially fatal car accident, I guess, Breaker breaks loose of that situation with the car and notices some funky shit going on with his hand, which kind of tells us that he's not just some lowlife in a leather jacket like we thought he was. And by we, I mean me. But speaking of lowlives, we are introduced to Wormwood, New Mexico, where, you know what, no, I said what I said because, a little off story about this, I almost got knifed in New Mexico, so I guess my vision of that place is a little tainted, so it looks like a skid mark to me, and it is a perfect setting for a horror movie. Let's continue. After Breaker is chased off for trying to steal someone's truck, he runs into Willie, the town drunk, who kindly offers him some spirits and even leads him to a place to stay for the night. We seem to have forgotten the other member of that car chase, as one time is on the scene checking it out and it looks fatal. They are surprised to meet the just as charming as he is handsome Billy Zane, and they've got some questions like, how the hell did you survive that, and what is so goddamn important that you're going well over 100? Surprise, surprise, the Fuzz kinda believe the Collector story, so they give him a ride to town to go find Mr. Breaker and whatever he stole from the Collector. We cut back to Willie showing off the 5-star quality motel that you would expect out of New Mexico, and slyly we find out that it used to be an ex-church. Gotta be a coincidence, right? Just like the coincidence going on with Breaker's hand looking like a goddamn lava lamp left and right. Shit's weird. Good golly, Miss Molly. Talk about the island of misfit toys. We are introduced to probably the best supporting cast I've ever seen in a horror movie. We've got Cordelia, our local working girl. A little change will make her do something strange. Alright, we've got our badass, strong innkeeper named Irene. We've got our disgruntled ex-mailman who is a complete simp for Cordelia named Wally. And we've got Geraldine, who is the housekeeper, also out on work release, but she will be pivotal in the movie later on. My man Breaker is the opposite of cool, as he is real fidgety, especially when another person enters the motel. But this son of a bitch is the walking douche known as Roach, and whoo, is he gonna make the night very interesting. I mentioned earlier one of the characters being strong as hell. That's the innkeeper Irene, and she is sharp as the whip as she notices something is wrong with Breaker, calls the 5-0 because he is acting super sus, and they show up with the collector and let's go. They turn the motel upside down looking for the key. We see these wacky people in the motel doing crazy shit. But ultimately the collector finds his relic and is happy until he finds out he's also a person of interest, as the rest of the details about the police scans are coming out about the two, and they're both now subjects of interest, but the collector doesn't like that and is ready to let the police know who the fuck he is.
Really, like the man said, if you knew who I was.
We'll find out soon enough.
Why wait?
God damn, such gore and violence erupts all over the place in the motel as the collector again reveals his true colors, but he fails to get the key and he is forced to go outside and call reinforcements, and we're gonna end Act 1 on that note. But before we get into my Act 1 likes and dislikes, do me a huge favor and click like and subscribe. It's free to do and it would mean the world to me and help me quit my job a lot faster. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, so my Act 1 dislike was nothing. I couldn't think of a goddamn thing to complain about on the real. Alright, maybe the cheesiness of the opening of the first 5 minutes with them showing like the B movie being filmed, but besides that, who cares? It's Tales from the Crypt. It's supposed to establish that cheesy atmosphere, so even that I'm not gonna complain about. Let's get into me hyping up this movie even more. My Act 1 like, oh my god, Billy Zane. This guy is a genius. If you're a fan of Matthew Lillard and what he did for Stu Macher's character in Scream, let me put this in perspective, okay? This movie was released a year before Scream, so I'm telling you, Billy Zane had that energy before Matthew Lillard did.
This one, it's a Scream, baby.
And by all means, I am not comparing the two performances because they're both brilliant and enjoyable. What I'm saying though is that that energy was there because you give somebody a script, it's just words, okay? Matthew Lillard brought Stu to life, and Billy Zane brought the collector to such incredible heights that this movie always stood out for me, and for those who've seen it as well, know just wow. Why wasn't Billy Zane cast more? Because I'm telling you, he is unreal in this performance.
Fuck this cowboy shit! You fucking ho dunk, well then there, motherfuckers! All you have to do is give me the goddamn key!
Besides Mr. Zane, the whole cast is fucking rock solid. The dialogue is incredible, and you guys know this already. I am a complete sucker for that blue tint that they put throughout the film. I mean, whatever filter or lens they're using, god damn it, you made me fall in love with this shit. Alright, let's get into Act 2.
Alright, this property is hereby condemned.
The start of Act 2 is looking really grim for those poor sons of bitches in the motel, as it is being surrounded by some of the most incredibly spooky demons I've seen on film. These evil henchmen are really starting to attack the motel now, and it's time for Breaker to kick some demon booty, alright? And he's using the key, and it shows off why it's so important, as the contents inside are able to seal off the doorways and anything else that can allow the demons to enter. Whatever's in this key is keeping them out. The demons should have been practicing this shit right here, because besides the key keeping them out, the other thing that can send them back to where they came from is a little eye gouger, right? Attack to the eyes will send them back to hell, but as we painfully learned, you gotta get out of the way once you attack the eyes. Yo, my guy Breaker is doing work. You know who's not doing work? There's always a rotten apple in the bunch, alright? And this rotten motherfucker happens to be named Roach, okay? Roach is here again, and he's gonna get all of them killed! And then, kind of in a random scene as they are sealing up the house, we learn what is inside of the key that makes it so potent against the demons. It's the blood of Christ. We have a code red on our hands though, because Geraldine's cat appears out of nowhere, and that's not a good thing because that means the motel isn't as secure as they thought. And apparently they have to test the cat because they can get possessed. I didn't know animals could get possessed like that. Anyways, they also need to find out how it got in. The tunnels, though, aren't the only cause for alarm, as Roach is really starting to become a roach, as he is harassing Wally to try to get him on his side to make a run at Breaker and just get the fuck out of there. But also, he turns, unfortunately, physical against Cordelia, which, if you guys know from my videos, I don't like seeing that shit, so let's move on. Going back to Cleo, the cat, and the mines, good news all around. Yeah, Cleo's not possessed, but the bad news is that the mines are there, which could be either we could exit out of here or maybe something could get in, but I guess we'll cross that bridge later. Now, that Sly Fox the Collector knows he's not going to be able to punch his way in and win by force. Well, he probably could, but he knows he's got to bring down the infrastructure from the inside. So who better to prey upon than the physically, emotionally abused Cordelia? Because the devil is not going to come with horns and a tail. It's going to come as Billy Zane, looking all cute and shit, say something style outside of her window.
Just a sad girl who's looking for love. Tender, warm, unconditional love.
Cordelia, not being of the strongest mindset, quickly turns and unfortunately starts dismantling her simp Wally. They get the key back in time, however, at a cost, as we suffer some casualties. Irene is not her complete self, for lack of a better words, and Roach is just being a complete turd and eventually gets the group to decide to go for the mines. We're gonna see that's not a good idea. Stevie Wonder could have saw that this was a terrible idea to go into that mine shaft, as we encounter more demons and we pick up a straggler named Danny, because Danny now is an orphan because his parents became demons, and we are treated to a nice little jump scare sequence as our survivors are desperately trying to get back to the motel for safety, and honestly, it's a badass sequence. And our survivors are just taking L's left and right until they get to the second floor of the motel and they manage to, thank goodness, seal it off. And Breaker owes these guys a really big, healthy dose of I fucking told you so, but hey, he's the hero, gang gang. Quick inventory of everything shows that the group is low on ammo, and hey, guess what? It's story time as Breaker tries to tell everyone what's going on. He explains why the key is so important, how they got the key, what's inside the key, how the blood is a mixture of all the other demon knights. Oh, I'm so sorry. He's a demon knight. He is selected to protect the key. So him and a whole lineage of people have been trusted to protect this thing, and why it's so important now to survive the night, because if they don't, they could just unlock total hell on earth.
There's some fatalities. That was good.
But hey, I'll let Breaker explain all that with his lines in the movie. He's better at it anyways. And man, I hope everyone in that motel feels like shit right now. But they don't, and Roachy Roach, man, you know he is scheming right now because that's what roaches do. And we're gonna end Act 2 with Danny missing and a little bump and lift of that key. However, before we get into my Act 2 likes and dislikes, give me a huge favor, click like and subscribe. Help this to make my full-time job, I would really appreciate it. Let's get on with it. Alright, Act 2, my only real dislike about it is the character of Roach. It's just, that is a little too over the top. I know we need a despicable character, I understand that, but still, watching like physical, you know, it's weird like in the movies, like we see the men and the women get killed, but still something about seeing a woman get hit in that line, especially from a bully like Roach, which I mean, I guess should be a likable thing, because if a character makes me hate him that much, that means he's doing a great job, but still, that part's hard to watch. Act 2 liked, my goodness, way more of an intense backstory and plot than anticipated from a Tales from the Crypt story. This is actually a deep story of good versus evil on a grander scale than most films attempt to tackle. And I'll tell you what, with the good story, we also have some great gore and violence and humor to accompany us. We've also got some great chase sequences and some nice tension because those demons are fucking scary looking. And I'm gonna go back to this. Each character in this film, even that son of a bitch Roach, is strong. There's not one watered down person in this film, and I appreciate that.
Trust me, you're safer in this house.
Shit.
Alrighty, let's delve into Act 3.
Shut this one down, Uncle Willie. Long, hard one.
Yes, you can definitely taste the panic in the air as the collector is going around everywhere, invading everybody's minds and offering them heavenly treasures or some downright hellish consequences, as we see some of them getting promises of great shit. Geraldine's, oh my god, there's a sequence in that rap really fucked with my head. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I want you to see it, but it involves Breaker meeting an early demise.
Horrible, isn't it?
Oh god, that's a messed up scene. But we get to see more of who has some mental fortitude and who doesn't. Okay, then we get to see Roach being he's a legend, okay? If you haven't seen the movie, please turn this part off until you've seen it. For everyone else, please join me. So, everything is going as horrendous as it possibly can. In the midst of all this chaos and panic and anarchy, Roach decides from the second floor, he sees these demons. They're demons! Not just some assholes running around trying to invade the motel. Demons from hell. He sees them and decides, he hawks a loogie on the demons. I mean, who does that?
Hey, they hate that.
Alright, that's out of my system. However, what's not out of people's system is temptation, because that shit is being pumped through all their veins and now everybody's a suspect! And shit, they get another one. If you haven't seen the movie, please, boop, don't listen to this part, but they get Willie, that poor old drunk. I know the temptation of alcohol, my friend, I've been there, but they get Willie and he's whooping Breaker's ass. And Geraldine, again, is proven to be a real one. And Roach is, again, proven to be a real piece of dookie. So while a nice temptation-induced fight is going on in one room, we get to see Roach again seeking out the collector. And it looks like he's trying to make a deal out of here. But guess what? I'm not going to talk anymore about this. Because I want you to enjoy the last 20 minutes of this fantastic film without me ringing all up in your ears. So let's get into my Act 3 likes and dislikes.
Anybody home? Come on, everybody. It's time to play. Hello.
I don't even know why I did this shit for the Act 3 dislikes, because I don't have anything to complain about. I don't, not for this act. Even though I hate Roach, he made me a fan with his antics and he served his purpose in this movie. Overall, not even Act 3, I had nothing to complain about. This movie did the near impossible by shutting me up. I don't have much to complain about on my end. Okay, Act 3 likes. Again, that backstory really did something for me. I like the good versus evil story. I love it. However, those sneaky little biatches, somewhere in the writing they threw in a little sub-story about Wally that I, to this day, want to know more about, because they're talking about how he got fired from the post office for missing mail and he claims he didn't do it. Later on, though, when the crew is getting their asses handed to them, like literally here and there, left and right, they find out some shit about Wally that he was a fucking nut. And I wish they would have elaborated more, but good job writing that part in. And again, my Act 3 likes, my guy over there walking on water, Billy Zane. Jesus Christ, this guy was just magical in every scene that he was in. It really does make me sad that he wasn't cast in more roles, but I loved him in this movie. Thank you for your performance, Billy. Those were my Act 3 likes and dislikes. Now, the whole movie, how did I feel about it? What is not to love about this movie? Oh my goodness. It is the near perfect horror movie in these dumb eyes of mine. I mean, it's got tension, it's got great horror, it's got great humor in there that was sprinkled in nicely. Kind of like Your Next. It wasn't forced in there, but it was put in there just nice enough for us to laugh even at inappropriate parts. And again, I cannot say this enough, the acting was superb. Every, and I repeat, every character in this film was amazingly written and better acted. However, the real scene stealer, showstopper, Mr. Billy Zane. Again, maybe only Stu from Scream could match this energy. Billy Zane is legendary in this film. This is his movie. Please check out Demon Knight. And that concludes today's episode of Tar and me hyping up Demon Knight. I truly appreciate you taking the time to talk horror movies with me. I would really appreciate it if you take the time to click like and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. So please, take care of yourselves. My name is Gilbert Ybarra. Thank you so much for watching the Attic Review. Smile, Tiger.